Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day today to join us for our launch poster sessions. These are sort of like lightning talks in a way, as we are not able to gather together and join in a big room to kind of walk around and see everybody's posters. So as a way to emulate that a little bit, we've invited people to share some video presentations of their posters, and then we'll have some time for question and answer. Really grateful to welcome our presenters today. We're going to start with a Library of Living Things, Steps to Starting a Seed Journey, and that's from Jordan Green here at UNC Chapel Hill. And then we'll go on to Daniel Nanez from UNC Greensboro, his presentation, Using Azure DevOps for Your Digital Projects. And then we'll finish off with Work-Life Balance from Laura Mangum from East Carolina University. You can put questions into the chat, and I'm glad to monitor them. We're going to go through all three presentations first, and then we'll be able to take all the questions at the end rather than presentation questions. Thank you for joining the launch conference today. I hope you've had a good morning, and I hope you had a good lunch. And there's some great presentations this afternoon, so I hope that you'll continue to join us there. We are recording this session. And you'll be able to view the recording in the future in case you miss something. I'm going to start off by welcoming Jordan Green to start today with her presentation. Jordan, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Great, thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Thank you, Aaron. All right, can everyone see the poster window?
It looks great.
Great. All right, so seed libraries are growing in popularity, and this poster will cover the process of bringing one to life and in the Keenan Science Library Makerspace at UNC Chapel Hill. So a seed library is what it sounds like, somewhere with a collection of garden seeds which may be borrowed by library users, but unlike books, they're not exactly returned. Seed libraries are sustained by donations and the efforts of more experienced users to harvest seeds from their garden to bring back to the collection for next season. They may serve a range of purposes like promoting biodiversity or helping library users grow their own food. Our seed library's mission is to function as an educational resource and alongside the tools of our makerspace, allow students to explore their interests through making physical, tangible things. So research. I started doing some background reading about a year before the Seeds Library got set up here. And these are some of the topics I looked into, saved links, and made notes on that especially came in handy later. First, of course, other seed libraries. There's a lot of ways to go about running one, and it was extremely useful to have an idea going in of the range of models that are out there operating, particularly in other academic libraries, which are a little bit less common. A few I was able to learn about the processes of starting were those at Durham libraries, at UMass Amherst, and at JMU. Also the plants. Thinking ahead to making that collection, I knew we wanted to be sure our library had seeds that would grow in North Carolina but not be invasive, that the seeds should be open pollinated, and we also tried to prioritize some plants especially liked by pollinators for our list. Locating organizations that have growing guides and seed saving guides like Richmond Grows, Southern Exposure, and Seed Savers Exchange, I think has also been very helpful to refer back to down the line. When this project started moving forward in the library, I think trying to stay organized, putting together first a few versions of a budget for like the items listed, and then a rough timeline helped visualize the final library ahead of time, create a checklist, and break that process down into smaller chunks. And I think some of the most important questions to ask yourself in the planning phase are first the who questions, why you're doing it, and what the major components will be, what sort of information you want to convey to patrons. Figuring these out early helps me in making the decisions to follow about what belongs in the collection, how borrowing will work, also whether the seed library will accept donations or rely on funding. Our seed library here at Keenan does both. So once you have a rough plan, it's time to start gathering and or making those components. The physical storage containers, accompanying materials like info and forms, and also assembling whatever style of checkout system you decided on before. And of course, the seed collection itself. Make sure to budget time for physically dividing up commercial seed packets if that suits the scale of your library. The Keenan Makerspace's seed library is housed in a little retired card catalog. It's provided from the Science Library Annex here at UNC. It's self-serve with a paper sign-out sheet for its coin envelope samples, and we're also keeping a basic electronic record in the form of a spreadsheet. We actually decided to go a little beyond seeds and let users borrow from a few books on the topic as well as small planting tools. And finally, but certainly not least, an important step to starting a seed library is A, building connections with related existing projects and initiatives in the community, and B, getting the word out. We reached out to folks at the Edible Campus program here at UNC and a couple of student clubs in gardening and beekeeping to let them know about this new resource and invite them to collaborate in the future. We planned an outdoor launch party event for earlier this March where participants could make theme buttons, decorate a terracotta pot, and finally plant their own seeds to take home and grow. We work closely with the library's communications team to promote this event on social media and the Seed Library in general. They made graphics and posters, informational flyers about the Seed Library, and the buttons for the event. The event had a great turnout, and the Seed Library has had steady use with checkouts almost every weekday since. I hope that it will continue to be a resource used by the UNC community and help our library connect with students. And I hope that in the future, we'll start seeing some of those varieties coming back to the collection for next year. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jordan. That was really wonderful to learn about the seed library's origins. And yeah, thank you so much. Up next, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to hear from Daniel Nanez doing using Azure DevOps for your digital projects.
Hello, my name is Danny Nanez. I work.
Sorry, hold on one second. I realized I didn't play the audio.
Today about using.
Sorry, y'all. Zoom, you think after this long we'd be good at it, but I still forget things every single time. One time. Share sound. There we go.
Hello, my name is Danny Nanez. I work at UNCG. I wanted to speak to you today about using Azure DevOps in your web projects. We had a 3-year grant-funded project called the Digital Library on American Slavery. In the
We're
middle
not
of
seeing
working on this
the view.
project, our work environment had changed due to COVID-19. We used the challenges
Sometimes when you press share screen, you have a choice between sharing the screen or the audio. So what you want to do when you press share screen is share desktop, which includes voice and audio, and make sure you check the box in the bottom of share screen dialog that says include audio. So it's like a special way to do it.
Yeah, you can see the screen now, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Danny Nanez. I work at UNCG. I wanted to speak to you today about using Azure DevOps in your web projects. We had a 3-year grant-funded project called the Digital Library on American Slavery. In the middle of working on this project, our work environment had changed due to COVID-19. We used the challenges of a COVID-19 work environment as an opportunity to look at new workflows. So what is Azure DevOps? DevOps is a suite of tools such as GitHub and Team Foundation services that Microsoft bundles together to help make the process of building web projects easier. One of the challenges of the COVID-19 work environment was that coworkers were in different work locations, on different computers, and working at different times. With everyone's work decentralized, Azure DevOps offered a place to centralize our workflow. Another challenge was the step-by-step nature of a web project. Before COVID-19, a project was worked on with a step-by-step process. With people working in different environments and at different times, you can now see how this workflow could become problematic. The project could be slowed by any delay of any step. Using Azure DevOps, each person could work on a project independently. Whether it's HTML, CSS, or coding, a person can have their own copy of the project on whatever computer they're doing their work on. DevOps allowed work on the project to be performed continually. Different people could now work together on a project from different places, on different computers, and at different times. Azure DevOps is free. All you need is any Microsoft account, a computer, and the internet. Now, let me show you what the web interface of Azure DevOps looks like. On the left-hand side of the window, you'll see different tools you can use in your web projects. I'm going to go through a quick tour, a couple of these. First, let's look at the built-in wiki. The wiki centralizes all of your important information. This is where we keep information on how the project is built, the status of our data imports, and other pieces of useful information. Next up are boards. The boards tool allows us to create work items, issues, or tasks. You can assign work items to different individuals. I can go into a work item and attach documents, add comments, add links. And on the boards page, I can get a visual representation of the work being done on the project. I can see the status of tasks, where they are, and a general overview of where the project is. So you can start to see how the boards tool becomes really useful when you're trying to manage your web project. The GitHub tool in DevOps is in the Repos tab. In Repos, I can actually see all of the project files. I can see a history of the work that has been done. I can even click into a file to get its history, see its contents, and even edit the file itself directly from the web interface. In branches, I can create copies of the files for each individual working in the project. People can then use their own copies to do their own work. Changes can then be merged with the main files at another time. Now, this is the web interface, but you can also use free applications like the free version of Visual Studio Community, which works on Macs and PCs. A person can then connect their web development environment straight into DevOps. So why is Azure DevOps important? It's a completely useful tool for building teamwork. DevOps removes the barriers of decentralized work and helps to connect people and workflows. For more information or to see the results of our project, you can visit dlos.uncg.edu. For more information on Azure, you can go to azure.microsoft.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Going to now move on to Laura Mangum's presentation, Work-Life Balance. This presentation is a little longer than we have time for, so we're going to play the first 5 minutes of it, and then we'll go to questions. And thanks everyone for your help in navigating that screen share error last time.
Welcome to my poster session on work-life balance. For the past 6 years, I have been on a journey to achieve a better work-life balance and to maximize my productivity. On this journey, I have continually sought out experts and resources, and I would like to share the professionals I follow and the resources I use that have improved my work-life balance and my productivity. Though these professionals and the resources are geared more for business entrepreneurs, the concepts, skills, and resources can be applied to any field and are beneficial to any type of work. I hope the information in this poster session will help others who are on the journey to a better work-life balance and increased productivity. I will begin with Brendan Burchard, who has been studying high performers for over 20 years. He is the world's #1 high performance coach, a 3-time New York Times best-selling author. Brendan defines a high performer as someone who excels at their work life and their professional life. All of his information is based on the research he has conducted over the past 20 years. In the top corner of the poster, I have a picture of his most recent book, High Performance Habits. And though I recommend all of his book, this book I highly recommend because of the practical, applicable strategies it details, such as one that he calls Release Tension, Set Intention, which is a technique to use as you begin a new task or project. For a daily dose of advice and inspiration, I recommend his podcast, The Brendan Show, which highlights many of his productivity techniques in 15 to 20-minute episodes. He also has on the podcast 1 to 3-minute episodes that he calls workouts, which are motivational snippets to use whenever you need a boost in your day. And one of his recent workout episodes on sustained motivation is a game changer for that 3 p.m. workday slump many people experience. Here in the middle, I have a picture of the high performance planner that Brendan Burchard created and uses himself every day. And though I don't use this as my daily planner, I use it more of a journal because each day has a standard set of questions for the morning and the evening. And here is the website for the daily planner if you would like to explore and learn more about it. But those daily questions are designed to set you up for success at the beginning of the day with the morning mindset questions and help you reflect effectively on each day with the evening journal questions and the daily habits scorecard. The simple act of answering the morning mindset questions can diffuse stress in your day as you plan how best to handle stressful situations and build up your confidence in having a successful day. Also built into the High Performance Planner are weekly and monthly reviews that help you assess where you are and help you plan for where you want to be in the next week or the next month. You can also find Brendan Burchard on many social media outlets. Down here at the bottom, I have listed his Instagram handle, which is at Brendan Burchard, and his Twitter handle, again, which is at Brendan Burchard. He also has a comprehensive website, which I have listed up here at the top under his name, which is simply brendan.com. I encourage you to explore his websites, his podcast, his books, and his other resources for daily inspiration on work-life balance and productivity.
Thank you, Donna, for sharing the link to the entire presentation by Laura Mangum. I definitely encourage you to click that link and review the whole thing later on this afternoon when you have the time. I want to open up the floor now for questions for our presenters today. Daniel and Jordan are here. I'm not sure. I don't see Laura. If you are here, Laura, please do speak up. But if you want to ask a question, you can raise your hand or you can put something in the chat. I'm glad to start with a question. Jordan, Laura was not able to attend today. Oh, and thank you, Daniel, for sharing the link to the website. Yes, it's a really amazing and important site. Jordan, I saw that the Seed Library had your opening event and it seemed to be quite successful. Have y'all had any feedback yet from people who were there that day or who were able to engage with your very careful planning?
I haven't heard directly, but we did have several UNC like student and staff reporters for like the paper and radio come by and talk to some students there, and everyone seemed really excited.
That's awesome. Are you planning any seeds yourself?
Yeah, we actually planted a few ahead of the event so that they would grow and we'd have like little demonstration of what it'll look like in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
And I plan to take some home and plant as well.
That's great. There's another question for Jordan. I'm going to toss a question to Daniel real quick. Daniel, how was the learning curve for transitioning to using DevOps for yourself or your fellow teams? Is there any hesitancy to using it, even though it does seem like it enabled collaboration more? I know sometimes like changing to new systems can be a challenge. Was that something that you had to negotiate?
Yeah, completely. And the learning curve was difficult, but not as difficult as it could have been without using something like Azure DevOps. Unfortunately, like I was saying in the presentation, it's a big giant project with a lot of different pieces and a lot of different people working and adding their bits into the project itself. And right smack in the middle of it, the COVID-19 work environment happened. And so we were trying to figure it out like, okay, well, this is an opportunity for us to look at new technologies and try different things out. And it actually worked out for the positive. And I always stress that when I present about our situation here with this project, is that there's always so much negative things that come out of the COVID-19 work from home environment or the different work environments, hybrid work environments from COVID-19, but there was some positive things that came out of it as well, right? Like having to manage these projects, having to still complete your work and your tasks and your workflows and all these things. And that was one of the bright spots about what COVID-19 had changed here in our work environment. So.
Thanks so much, Daniel. Yeah, I mean, there were definitely, it did present some opportunities for us to change some of the ways that we were working. And I think we've carried some of those forward in positive ways. So yeah, it's nice to learn about another tool in your process. Someone asked about a link to the poster and Therese Triumph did share a link to that, I think, and a link to the page for the Seed Library. A question for Jordan: is the Seed Library open to staff too? And how do you check out seeds from the Seed Library?
Yes, it's open to staff, and it's actually open to like any community members. You don't have to be a UNC affiliate to use it. And to check out seeds, they're just kind of organized by type and alphabetically, and you just come in, it's self-serve and browse. And we have a little clipboard next to it where you can write down the date and what variety you took. They're not like in the whole, like the big library catalog or anything. It's a very informal checkout process.
Thanks. That's great that it doesn't require any kind of affiliated borrower's card or anything like that. That's really awesome. And Therese says the link was for the Well article, an article about the Seed Library. So we will have the poster up and links on the launch website in the future. So please do come back and look at that. Any other questions right now? Okay. I'm going to then say thank you again to our presenters, Daniel, Jordan, and Laura. I really appreciate you putting your time to share your expertise with us today, to teach us about some new things, both at our institutions and our partner institutions across the state. It's really great for y'all to be here, and thank you especially to all those who came to this presentation today. I know it's your lunchtime, so I really appreciate you taking time to learn from these presenters that came to join us. More sessions coming up this afternoon. I hope you're able to attend some of those. Please do come back to the Launch website, and we can share some links to those sessions in the very near future. I hope you'll have a wonderful day. Take care.